really came here for myself and for everyone just share a few thoughts as we go into a very, very difficult Shabbos. This morning, 7:30 in the morning, I had a phone call from the hospital. The oxygen was in single digits already. I feel that we were very close at the end, and the oxygen numbers went up. We're dealing with this, and those in the medical field know that that's what happens. It goes down, it goes back up, and it fluctuates. And from that moment this morning, realizing that as much as we daven all the tefillos and all of our tears, the journey is about to begin, not to end. I can tell you that whoever I've spoken to today, you don't even have words, so we just cry. We cry on the phone, we cry in our lives, we cry sitting alone in our rooms. And I think that every one of us had a unique, special relationship with Lizzie. Not just a friend, and I think that every one of you will say not just a friend, but a best friend. And Lizzie would speak about everyone as if they were his best friend. And going through the day today, speaking to many of you, only tears, because we've lost a gift, a matana that we were given. And we look back and we say, did we appreciate our gift? And HaKadosh Baruch Hu is taking from us this gift. And he's taken a carbon. And he's taken an individual without a blemish on the first day of the 9 days. We'll have time to say Hesped, we'll have time to speak about what we can learn from Lizzie and what we can do to enhance our lives as a role model that Lizzie was to each one of us. But for today and for now, we're going into a Shabbos with questions. We have a lot of questions. How can Hashem do this to us? How can Hashem take the individual to each one of us was perfect? How can he take someone that was a tzaddik, chacham, yirei shamayim, magid shir, all in one, on this Erev Shabbos, as we head into Matas Masa, as we are in the middle of the 3 weeks, but beginning the 9 days. Answers we don't have. But how do we approach such a Shabbos? How do we go into a Shabbos? It was just, well, got off the phone with Mati, got off the phone with his wife. I have a conference call with them shortly, just to try to give them a little chizuk for the day of Shabbos, which is going to be a difficult Shabbos. Shabbos is simcha on the outside, pain on the inside. Avelos K'tzinas Mutter. And as we do go into Shabbos, yes, we're going to greet our friends. That's what Lizzie was. And maybe we'll go say a good Shabbos to someone we didn't say a good Shabbos to, because that's who Lizzie was. And maybe we'll ask someone to come to our home, to talk to us, to shmooze with us, to participate in a Shabbos with us, because that's what Lizzie would want. And that's what he was all about. And if we're going to begin to try to emulate, try to live that type of life, it begins on a Shabbos as we head into these 9 days. On the day of when the Yartzeit of Aaron HaKayim, the Oyev Shalom, the Rayev Shalom, that was Lizzie. Oyev Shalom, Rayev Shalom, didn't understand what Machlekes meant. Didn't understand what Lashon Hara, didn't understand the definition. Didn't understand how to look at another person with an ayin ra. He was tight. He was cool like tight. Kechurban Beis Hamikdash for each one of us. On the day of the 9 days when we begin the Churban Beis Hamikdash, we begin to feel the loss. We, each one of us, HaKadosh Baruch Hu has taken from us his carbon, and we now feel what loss is about. We feel what it was like when it was a Beis Hamikdash loss. HaKadosh Baruch Hu has given us feel loss, feel pain, feel what you're missing. And as we go into this Shabbos, we're going to be on the outside with Simcha, but on the inside we're in pain. And we have our machshavos are allowed to be thoughts of we lost a gift, we lost a precious jewel, we lost an individual who represented what a Baal HaBas is all about. Someone like us, someone who is similar to us, someone who went through the nisyanis that we went through. And we go into the Shabbos, therefore, with emulating Uzi and feeling the Einik Shabbos on the outside, but on the inside we're pain. On the inside we're at a loss. On the inside it's Avelis B'tzina, over the loss of a friend, over the loss of a gadol, over the loss of a chacham. And we feel that there is now a job for each one of us to pick up on what Lizzie was about, which is the Oyev Shalom, which is the Roiv of Shalom, which is to learn the Daf, to be inspired, inspire others with the tefillah, inspire others with a smile, inspire others just with the Shalom Aleichem, inspire others by just giving them a thought, go over it to someone, I have something to tell you. The journey begins for all of us to emulate. I was on the phone this afternoon with those that began the journey. It was really 9 years ago. Many of you might have recalled that when Lizzie did go to Texas. From Texas, he went to San Francisco. And from San Francisco, he ended up in New York. And one of the doctors who I had been in touch with, told me, and I was, of course, on the other end of the line with tears in my eyes. We'll have to call him back shortly. But he says to me, I've dealt with thousands of patients. He is one of the biggest neurosurgeons in the world, from what I understand. In the oncology department, he's well known. And he says to me, Rabbi, I called you, he did try to get a hold of me a number of times, and he got a hold of me, and he says, I want you to know that I've dealt with thousands of people, many thousands of people, whether it's because I was their doctor, or that they wanted me to check an MRI, whether they wanted me to see a CAT scan. I've been involved over the years with thousands of patients. But I have to tell you, and you can tell this to those that you are going to speak to, there has been nobody over the years who I felt as close to as Lizzie. There's been no patient that I will remember their name to the end of my life. I forget my patients. I forget what they represent and who they are and their family members. But Lizzie is going to be the patient that I will remember till the day of death because of what he represented and what his fine, able, sensitive manner was. And we are going to do the best to try to remember that who he was, what he represents. We're going to grow from it. We have a lot of questions, and many of us can question and we lose hope, and I understand. I wake up every morning over the last few weeks, phone ringing, not ringing, questioning Hashem, how can you do this to us? How could we go through this as a Gehila? We're the same age. We went through such pain. I can tell the other one thing, and hopefully this will be a summer visit where we have no words. But many of you felt that I wish I could have done more. And whether I wish I could have been in the hospital, or whether I wish I could have visited more often, and I wish that maybe I could have made that extra text message, or maybe how could I have not seen it and ignored the different periods of time when we noticed that there was a change in the way Lizzie was. And then those are what's going through all of our minds. One of the last messages that Lizzie did give over while he was able to still speak, and told his wife. And even with his wife, he was very, very discreet in what they talked about with his illness. He did not want anyone, any of his friends. He didn't want me, unless I had to know. But with his own wife, he did not want anybody to feel his sorrows that he was going through. And he didn't want people to visit him. And when people did visit him, he said, I'm doing it because they want to visit me. I don't want them to see me like this. And throughout the last 9 years, his doctor did tell me that 3 or 4 times they gave up on him. And he won. And he won the battle. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu's miracles were obvious to those that were involved. And we still believe there were going to be miracles. But Lucy did not want anybody to feel, not even his wife. He didn't want when he would talk to his wife, it was just him and his wife discussing other things. He didn't want. And his wife told me that that was Lucy's request. That he wanted everybody to live their life and go on with their life with simcha, because that's who he is. And he didn't want people in the hospital to see him the way he looked. And he didn't want people to come see him in a state of where, oh, these are the last memories we have. And if that's his last request, and that was his Shchiv Meirah Tzavah, then that's what we have to do. And therefore we'll go forward with questions. And we will have time to process. I'm still processing all this information. For me, it's 5 weeks of every day, almost every single day. This doctor, this one telling me what to do, this one telling me what to do. This one offering me this advice, this one offering me that advice. Somehow I became an expert in all fields, not even rabbis. I'm an expert in every field because they think that I am the expert in. And I went through ups and downs and good days and bad days. I went to speak to one of the Gedolim and I said, Rebbe, last week I said, this is one of the Gedolim Hadar. I said, how do you get through the difficult times? And he said to me, there are times that are difficult and we don't get through those times, but then the next morning we do. And the next day we do. And we will. And each one of us together is going to give chizik to each other. And we're going to greet each other, and we'll be to sameach each other, and we'll have simchas together. And the family, I spoke to them, I just got off the phone with them. We're going to be there for them, but it will be there for them in what they're comfortable with, what they need from us. Whether it's Mati, whether it's the girls, or whether it's going to be Lizzie's wife, in the right time, in the right place. We're going to give them the chizik. We'll be there for them. We'll be there for each other. I can only ask as we head into the Shabbos, we daven a little bit better, because that's what Lizzie would want from us. And it's an Iyud for his neshama. All we can do for him now is that we connect with him, that he looks down and smiles from Shemayim and says, yeah, I was the carbon. But when a carbon is brought, there are other parts of the carbon that have to now be, whether it's eaten, whether it's given to the kayin, whether it's going to be skinned. There are others that are a part of this carbon too. It's not just the carbon itself. And now our responsibility, as Lucy was the carbon, definitely this carbon that was pure, mechaper for our averis, for sure. Cleansing all of us, for sure, no doubt in my mind. We now have to pick up our game. We have to go into the Shabbos with our tefillah. We have to go into the Shabbos and be careful with our way we daven, how we daven, our pilpul chaverim, what we talk about, how to be positive, how to have a lashon tov. And then Lucy is with us, each one of us. Looks down and says, Baruch Hashem, through my life, I inspire. Now in my death, I'm inspiring too. Let us head into the Shabbos. Yes, questions. Yes, deep, deep sorrow. Deep, deep sadness. It's okay. You can be sad. But on the outside, we're listening. On the outside, we daven, we're listening. On the outside, we'll greet. We'll sing the Zmiris of Shabbos. We'll sit at our Shabbos tables with our children, bringing in the Shabbos. As I just got off the phone when someone says that the questions to Hashem, if we had answers, then He wouldn't be God. If we had all the answers, then He wouldn't be our God, because we would understand. We can't understand. One day we'll understand. As Pussy's wife just got off the phone. Brother-in-law and sister-in-law, really strong. We don't understand. We don't understand. Maybe we will not understand in our lifetime. There will be a time when we understand. And we will, as a group, and as a colony, and as different, wherever you're coming from, all over, we're not Mekayimos, we're a Klal Yisrael. We're a community. We're a chavra. We don't refer to ourselves as this shul, that shul, this colony, this place. No. We're a Klal Yisrael. That was Lucy. We have to have ashkas. We have to come together in a positive way. Be mechazik each other in a positive way. Love our children. When we enter into the Shabbos Matas Masa, as we do the travels of our lives, this day will be a day we'll never forget. And that phone call we'll never forget. We'll remember where we were. We'll remember when we heard it. We'll remember exactly the words, the person on the phone. We'll never forget. This day is now engraved in our lives forever. But it's engraved, we are going to need to take that and change our lives. And that will be our business. And that's how we'll feel good. And that's how we will be able to go on with life. It's difficult. We're going to be walking in the shul, we're walking in the streets, we'll be walking on Avenue M. We're not going to see Lizzie in the morning walking by. We're not going to see him in the shul at night with the daf. We're not going to hear his tefillos in shul. But it's in our hearts. And he will live on with each one of us. And we have now given our carbon to Hashem. And on Erev Shabbos, we plead with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. We cry out to Hashem. We say, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, we've offered you the carbon, the purest carbon. We've given you a carbon without a blemish. The last few weeks in the hospital, whatever we can think of if Felicity did wrong, he's pure carbon on an Erev Shabbos Kodesh, on an Aaron HaKohen's yard side. We've given you HaKadosh Baruch Hu every type of a carbon that you could have wanted. Cleanse us. We're pure now. Give us help. Give us the strength to go on. Give us the strength to bring up our families, to be mechazik our friends, our relatives. We're in the Zman HaNechama. It's Menachem Av, Kodesh Baruch Hu. It's Menachem. You're the Father. On this day we bring in out HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the Father. Put the right thoughts in our mind. Give us the nechama that we need. Give us that comfort. And I know for sure that we will get there. And we'll get there as a chevra, as a community, as a Klal Yisrael, not as individuals, not as groups, not as chevras, but as a group of the Klal Yisrael. And we will be zeicher through this carbon that today is in Shamayim, the greetings that are going on. I'll have an opportunity in Mirza Shabbat to speak about. But in Shamayim, when the Tzoros in this world is Simcha in the next world. Because in Shamayim, there's singing going on as they enter into Shabbos. They have Luzi giving the shir. They have been giving the Daf HaYomi. They have been giving another Chavura. So in Shamayim is Simcha. We can be guaranteed, therefore, the Chama. Because the carbon was brought. And we're a part of this carbon because we feel the pain. Let us go into the Shabbos. The Tiny Shabbos, the Simcha. We will have the Nechama. It's okay to feel pain on Shabbos. It's fine. it's good, it's healthy. It's a process that is going to take place for each one of us. But whether you daven in my shul, you daven in another shul, we're not shuls, we're communities. And if I can give any source of comfort, I don't have words to say. But if I can give any source, we're all here together to give each other the comfort that's needed. But what I want to end with, we did whatever we could. And I don't want anybody to doubt and to question, I should have done more. I should have made this extra phone call. I should have maybe visited more. I should have texted more. I didn't realize all and we regret. I asked everyone, please don't regret. Everything that could have been done was done. Every doctor that could have been called was called. Every avenue, we took that avenue and we explored it as best as we could. And I told that to Lizzie's wife, and I'll tell it to her again. There was no one that I could have imagined could have been a better Azer who was there from the beginning. And each one of us will tell ourselves, we daven, we'll grow, we'll become better in our own tefillah. And we daven and we say the Tehillim, and we can't look back and say we should have done this and we should have done that, and maybe we should have acted and been done. We did whatever we could do. This is the carbon that Hashem wanted. And he took the carbon on Rosh Hashanah. This was the day that he chose. He took the carbon on the day when we begin to feel the loss of the Churban Beis HaMikdash. Because to each one of us, today is Churban Beis HaMikdash. It was. We lost a Beis HaMikdash, but we got a carbon. We were able to bring a carbon beginning on the 9 days because HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, I want your carbon. During these days of Churban Beis HaMikdash, he took our carbon. Whoever has a shaykhs to Lizzie brought a carbon today. We go into Shabbos therefore with realizing we were chosen. We have to now be the chosen and act differently, daven differently, learn differently. Hilchos Chaverim, Ahavas Chaverim, as I mentioned before. We will be zeicher as we close in on the end of the Golus. And these tzaras don't end. You go from one to the next, but we know we're getting close. We'll be zeicher Mirz Hashem. To be menachem each other with a full mecham, because the rule is going to be here. I have much more to say. This is just from the heart. Over the next few weeks, there'll be more time to talk. The thoughts can be written down, can be prepared. But let us be zeicher Mirz Hashem. That this Shabbos should be a Shabbos where we're uplifted. We're not depressed. Sorrow, sad, but we're simcha on the outside. And we show it. HaKadosh Baruch Hu, we feel lost. We're going through the next days of Shiva, which ends on Tisha B'Av, because that's the way it's going to work out. Again, Hashem wanted this to work out. We start on Sunday, depending on what's happening. We'll end on Tisha B'Av. With Tisha B'Av, our Churban Beis HaMikdash, but our carbon or the Zman of the Churban Beis HaMikdash we were a part of. We're excited to see the Binyan Beis HaMikdash with everything. Thank you.